There we go. Okay. Sorry, trying something new here. There's the chat. Okay. Here we go. Now I can see your questions if you add them on there. Okay, so today what we're going to do is I'm going to give an overview of the boot camp. I'm going to provide some information on um, who I am, why I'm doing this, all this kind of stuff. We're going to go over kind of the lay of the land with what we're doing. And then I'm going to go into basically like a straight lecture. And this is the way the program will work each and every time. So just to start off, who I am, I know you know who I am, but for the people who are listening to the replay that may not be as familiar and just decided to give me a try on this particular boot camp. My name is Alexa Bigworth. I started writing a long time ago, a long time as a child. I really enjoyed writing, but I went into a completely different professional field. I was actually in intelligence in the Air Force, and then as a counterterrorism and homeland security planner. But I decided to stay at home with my children, and we suffered a loss of one of our identical twin daughters. One of them passed away at 2 days old. And this is relevant because it's how I got to be where I am today. I started blogging about grief and loss and helping other people go through this, started blogging about the syndrome that impacted them. I started writing not only for grieving parents, but for people who wanted to help grieving parents, and then eventually put together a book, Sunshine After the Storm, a survival guide for the grieving mother, which I self-published and learned all by myself the whole route. And I made a lot of mistakes that I have since gone back and had to pay to have fixed. And basically that journey has created a real passion in me to make sure that people have the tools and the resources and the knowledge that they need to be able to self-publish their book well the first time, and to not make all the expensive mistakes and the timely mistakes that I made. So one of the things that, let me mute this so we're not hearing the dinging in the background. Basically, I started with that first book. I really enjoyed the publishing process. And because I was writing about parenting as well, I did another book. I co-authored another book. And as people started seeing me publish books, they started asking me, how are you doing this? What is the process? What's your, all this stuff going on with it? So I decided it was a good time to start a business helping people prepare their books for publication. So I had spent a lot of time and energy learning how to do layout and design and ebook conversion and what makes a good book and how you produce a good book, how you have a book that stands out from others, and that certainly, if you're going to be self-publishing, does not make you look like a self-published book. And we've all seen them. We've all seen them. If somebody, one of our friends published a book, or someone that we know, or maybe a coach that we work with, or somebody you've seen a self-published book where you pick it up and you're just like, what is this? This is a terrible cover. What is this stuff on the back of the cover? Why would you do this? Why would you do this? And then the inside is not formatted properly, and it's a big giant mess. And my goal has always been to make sure that people do not make that mistake. Like, I want no one to ever look at your book and say, oh, that's obviously self-published. So I branched into helping people, to coaching people. It's just sharing my knowledge of the different elements of self-publishing, and eventually started publishing other people under my own publishing house, Cat Biggie Press. And then we launched a second imprint of that press called Purple Butterfly Press, and we publish children's books through that one. So I have a very broad knowledge base on not only self-publishing, but also the traditional models, the industry standards, the guidelines. I'm on the Independent Book Publishers Association advocacy committee, where I learn a lot from other publishers and with other publishers on what's going well, what's not going well, mistakes people are making, tools you can use, the whole shebang. So it's been a really, really cool process, and I hope to share that knowledge with other people. So what I wanted to cover in this self-publishing bootcamp are all the things that you have to do to make sure that you can self-publish confidently and professionally. I am teaching the strategies that really don't, it doesn't matter what genre you are publishing in. It doesn't matter what, if you're fiction or nonfiction, if you're writing a children's book, if you're writing a self-help, all of these things are the things that we are going to learn in this class are, regardless of genre, going to be applicable to you, because the standards. Hey Jennifer, welcome. I'm just moving on through, and feel free to ask questions in the chat box as you have them. So I'm basically, it just gave an introduction of myself and who I am. You'll be able to see that in the replay, and moving on through with the other elements of the training today. So just to catch you up quickly, I'm doing a 1 hour straight through it training. There is some application time for people who are able to do application with me today. We'll go through some examples, and if you can't do it, if you're on a phone or if you're traveling or if you're just in listen mode, that's fine. You can do this stuff another time, but at least we'll have kind of walked through it and I'll demonstrate how to do it. Okay, so these are the things that we're going to cover in this 4-day intensive. Session 1, which is today, of course, we did the lay of the land there, who I am, what's going on, what we're doing, getting yourself book ready. Session 2, which will be tomorrow, are the key elements for a book and the industry standards. So we'll talk about all the different things you need to have included in and as a part of your book and as a part of your publishing process to make sure that you get it to the right places and that it has all the right elements and everything that you need for a very good, high quality book. Session 3, which will be next Monday, we're going to talk about your publishing team and distribution, and I'll get into the different people. You can do these roles yourself. So you might be a one-man publishing team, but I will go through the different people that you can use to help you self-publish. And, some people will say, well, if I'm hiring all these other people, am I truly self-publishing? Absolutely. It's just because you hire a professional editor does not mean you're not self-published. It means you're a very smart self-published author. So we'll talk about your publishing team, the different people who can do different elements for you, and I will provide you people and resources for that as well, or kind of give you some resources on if you decide to try and do it on your own. There's lots of tools out there. I completely understand. My first book, I was gung-ho, I am doing this by myself. Now I did hire a proofreader, an editor. I didn't really know a lot about the editing process at the time. I did have someone else read through the book and make sure that it was not a hot mess. And I did hire a cover designer, but come to find out, I didn't know what questions to ask and what elements should be in a cover. So the cover was terrible. And since then, I've had to pay to have another cover design done to make it look good. So the goal of this is that even if you use other contractors, subcontractors, freelancers, agencies, whomever you're using, that you are going to know what should be in the product you are receiving. You're going to know to tell them if they may be a great graphic artist, but they may not know the elements that should be on the back cover of a book and the spine of the book and those types of things. So I'm going to help you. So if you decide to go off different ways, you will be prepared to do that. And then finally, in the 4th session, we're going to talk about the launch and publishing timeline, because this is so key to your success, is really understanding how much time you need to do all of these different elements, and how much what space you need to give yourself, what time you need to give yourself, and when you should be doing each step of the process. So I think you can tell by now that this is not a writing course. This is not a marketing and book launching course, although we will talk a little bit about that. This is not a genre specific anything. This is a course that's going to teach you the bones. Okay. So as I mentioned, it's applicable to all genres. I am teaching you the structure of publishing. But within that, I will give you my insights and into the other things that come along with it. But if you don't understand it's like trying to build a house without a foundation. You've got to understand that foundation. And that's what sets this particular self-publishing course apart from Excuse me just one second, please. I have children home for the summer, so excuse me there. Um, and that's what sets this one apart from other courses that you can go through, is that I'm not going to just show you how to quickly get your book on Amazon. There are lots of people who will do that. That's not my jam. I think it's a scam to charge people a lot of money just to get a not great looking book up on Amazon. Truthfully, anyone can get a book on Amazon. I don't want you to be anyone just on Amazon. I want my people to be for nobody to be able to tell whether you were published by Simon and Schuster or yourself. That's the goal. So we'll talk about all of those things that go into making that happen through this week. My goal is to not only lecture you and teach you the things that I know, but apply concepts and go through and say, okay, if we're talking about what an ISBN is, I'm going to show you where to go and how to get it. If we're talking about how to do comps, I'm going to show you how I do comps when we are getting ready to publish a book. We will have 1 hour is a short amount of time. Now we're going to go a little bit longer today if we need to because of my little issue with getting started. But generally, the next 3 days will be 1 hour of lecture / implementation demonstration. And then the following hour, we will break out into one-on-one times where I can have 15 minutes with each person to just go through and answer your specific questions. And if we decide that we all want to be in one big Q&A, that it would be beneficial to everybody to hear everyone's questions, we can do that as well. I am totally flexible on what you all think will be the best bang for your buck. Okay, there are some homework assignments. This is not school, so I'm not going to grade you on whether you do your homework or not. You're adults, but I will say I have homework so that you can actually apply what I'm teaching you while it's fresh in your mind. I do not want this to be just another self-paced training that gets put away into a folder someplace on your computer that you'll get to someday, and then someday comes and goes and you've never done it, you've never implemented, you never did the things, and then you're like, why did I pay, or why did I participate in that? What did I get from it? So if you come with me on this, and if you do the work that I give you, the goal is that upon completion, now this is assuming that you've written your book, right? Okay. But ideally, at the end of the 2 weeks, you could be ready to put it straight up onto the publishing platforms if you've already started some of the other processes. I doubt anybody's at that position, because that means, we need to make sure you have a good cover, all those types of things, right? So anyway, if nothing else, you will know exactly what you need to do, and you will know how much time you need to do it, so that you can come from this and you can get if you want to get your book at least on pre-order, right? That's the goal. So it's not a marketing and author platform program, although in my full academy, which is a 6-month program, we spend a lot of time from day one working on author platform growth and marketing, because it is so crucial for you to have an audience to sell your book to if you're going to sell books. So from day one, even if people haven't written an outline of their book, we start marketing. I'm not doing that in this particular course, because I want to keep you very focused on your foundation, on building the foundation. That's what this is all about. Okay. But in the Q&A time, if you're just jonesing to ask a question about marketing, we can, but I really would prefer that you keep your questions to the topic here, so that I can give you what you have paid to get. So we want to make sure this is an investment that keeps giving back to you for a long time. All right, so today our topic is getting yourself book ready. And what does that mean? That means, it's a good question. That means, is your book ready? Are you book ready? Have you done the things that you need to have done to make sure your book is sales worthy? Okay, so we're not going to talk about ideas or topics or any of that kind of stuff in here, but I'm going to give a couple of examples. Some people might say there's already 500,000 books about vampires out there. Yes, I'm sorry. I forgot to mention that. You will receive the recording of this training. You will receive the templates for the things that we talk about during the training if I have something for you. And you will also receive the PDF of these slides. So don't be frantic about trying to write everything down. This will come to you. Just take the notes that you need at this point in time. And I'll try to get them sent out before we start for the next 3 days so that you can print them and actually write alongside of them. I didn't think about doing that today, but I'll do that for you to make sure you can just write along right with it. So, okay. You might think to yourself, I really want to write about a book about vampires, but the market is just oversaturated. And I would say, wrong. The fact that people are buying and buying and buying and buying books about vampires means they want even more. My favorite example of this is books about strong women in World War II. I am currently writing, I've been writing for 2 years. I need to sit down and buckle down on it, but I'm writing a book about female spies in France during World War II. It's my favorite topic in the world. Strong women, World War II, France, the whole thing. Favorite topic in the whole wide world. I am reading everything in the world I can find about this topic. I've read Codename Verity, The Nightingale. I'm reading All the Light We Cannot See, although that's not about female spies. It's still about the area. If there's a book out there that looks good on this topic, I have bought it. And that's the way fans are. We're talking mostly about fiction right here. But that's the way fans are when they come upon an author that they love or a topic that they love. They will read everything under the sun. I remember when the Hunger Games came out, I loved that series so much. Anything else that came out that was anything like it, I bought it. So the fact that a lot of people are writing books on a topic and they're selling is really, really good. So that is a sales-worthy book. Now let's talk about nonfiction for a second. Maybe you're a self-help coach. And if you two don't mind, why don't you tell me what you're writing about in your in the comment space, and then I know you filled it out in the form, Pam, but if you could put it back in there so that it's fresh on my mind, I'll try and give examples that are very relevant to the people in the course. Nonfiction, self-help, for example, cookbooks. I can't tell you how many cookbooks I have in my cupboard, but it's ridiculous. So, if you're, or weight loss books, I have bought every book in the sun that's supposed to help me eat better, lose more weight, morning routines, everything under the sun to help me be more productive. I've read pretty much every book out there about writing. So you see what I'm saying? Like these, you want to have a book so when somebody says nobody's ever written a book like mine before, there might be a reason why. Maybe they wrote a book, but nobody wanted to buy it, but that's not always the case. Sometimes there are books. Obviously, the first person who wrote a book about Bitcoins, there was nothing about Bitcoins, but boy, weren't they ahead of the trend, and now selling just ridiculous amount of books about, this whole bit currency and all this kind of stuff. So there's something to be said for, capturing an early trend or doing something new. It's okay that there was not a Harry Potter type series before, because she knew that this was something that would be liked by the people who liked other types of similar books, or that this was missing from the market. Okay, so a memoir on spiritual life journey. Memoirs are tricky. With a good memoir, and if you don't know who Brooke Warner is, I would look up Brooke Warner, BrookeWarner. She does Greenlight Your Book. She's a memoir coach. She's a writing coach, but she's also the co-founder of She Writes Press. So she is really, really established. She actually was my very first writing coach, and she continues to be a fantastic mentor, but she is in the memoir space, and she's written some really good things about memoirs. And if I can think about it, I will jot down a note to see if I can find you some of her articles. But memoirs, you have to make sure that with a memoir, you know clearly who you are trying to market to, and what you want them to get from the book. So some pitfalls with memoirs can be to fall into too much of your own story. I'll type it in the chat here. You can fall too much into the pitfalls of your own story and not go deep enough into what makes it something that everybody else wants to learn from. Because at the end of the day, they're not reading your memoir because they're interested in you, as harsh as that sounds. They're reading your memoir because they want to go on that journey. They want to learn what that is. So if you looked at comparable titles, have you gone out, and we're going to do a little exercise in a second here when you're like, I don't even know what that means or how to do that. I'm going to walk you through the process of doing that. But make sure that you see what's out there, and then answer the question, how is your book different and what gap does it fill? Because it's okay to have the same series. I mean, it's okay to write another similar series to Twilight because people love that type of thing, but you can't have the same story, and it's got to be just a little bit different. And maybe the vampires, in like, you look at, I like vampires, can you tell? If you look at the Vampire Diaries, as opposed to, which is a TV show, like, they have a special witchy magic ring that allows them to go outside during the daytime, and they can completely fit in with everybody around them instead of like being shiny in the sun like they are. So it's like, how is your book different? How are your characters different? What is different? How can you still capture the enthusiasm of all the people who like that genre and like those people without being the same story, but being close enough big picture that people are like, oh yes, I love this. I know I'm going to love this. Okay. And in nonfiction, especially, is there a gap that it fills? If you have, if you're writing a productivity book, what gap is there in the other, like what is it that the main books that are selling out there are talking about, but what are they not talking about? What did they forget to tell about? I published a book for a woman named Tanya Rainier. She's a mindset coach. And she was saying that when she was writing The Mindset Switch, she said she'd read tons of books about mindset and how important it is to have a good mindset and all of these things about mindset. But none of them talked about the process on how you go about changing your mindset. So if you're a Debbie Downer and you want to be a super happy, high vibing person all the time, it's not enough to just talk about how great it is to be high vibing and all of these kinds of things. Like, what's the process to get there? So her book is all about like rewiring your brain so that you're not just talking about, I want to have a healthy mindset. You're actually every day doing things to change your mindset. So that's, if you see something from that. Okay. And then, do you understand the norms of your genre? I'm going to come back, Jennifer, and do the same thing for you here in a second. So the norms of your genre are really, really important. And you will know this if you're reading your genre. So that's one tip that I always tell people is make sure you are really reading the types of book that you want to write about, because you'll see patterns, you'll see styles, you'll see ways that they do things, like a cozy fiction book, for example. Like, it's very, very against the norm for there to be cursing and sex. So if you want to write a book that you're selling to the cozy, it's called The Mindset Switch by Tanya Rainier. I'll put her name in here. And it is a great book, and she has quite a crazy story. She's phenomenal. So, okay. So if you want to write a cozy book, which would be like, think Agatha Christie, something like that, and you are cursing and putting sex in your book, the genre fans are going to revolt. Not only will they not buy your book, they will make sure they sell you down the river and make sure nobody else will ever buy one of your books either. And that might seem a little dramatic to you, but I'm telling you, it's true. If you come out and you try and do something, this I would say is a very fiction heavy type thing. Like, you don't see this as much in nonfiction. No one's going to be like, oh my gosh, they put their recipes on one page instead of 2 pages. I can't even believe it. We're never going to, there's different norms of each genre. But what is normal in a cookbook? I mean, it's normal to have lots of really big, beautiful pictures to go along with your food. So if you try and publish a cookbook that doesn't have a single picture in the whole book, people are going to be like, no, this isn't happening. So you have to know and understand what is normal for the other sellers in the process to it. Now you might say to yourself, what does this have to do with learning how to self-publish your book? And what the point is that if you don't have a book that's going to sell, there's no point in going anywhere past this. So this is step one of the foundation. We are digging out the dirt to make sure that what we build up from there, we're not building on a slab, we're building on a foundation. We're going to make sure that we have the stuff out there that we need to actually sell a book. And I've seen this a lot of times, myself included, where I had a great idea for a book. I thought everybody in the world was going to want that book. And I just could not understand why when we launched Lose the Cape is a perfect example. This was my first co-authored book. After Sunshine After the Storm, I did this one. So I did my one for grieving mothers, and then I did my one for mothers of children in there. And we basically were like, we need a book for moms to see that you don't have to do what everybody else is telling you that you have to do. Just because everybody says you should breastfeed doesn't mean, if that's not right for you, that it's wrong that you're bottle feeding. Just because the trend is cloth diapers doesn't, so we kind of went through like all these different things. And the reason I'm telling you this is because it is a good book for a first-time mom. For a brand new mom who's just getting started, it is fantastic. And that was all the feedback that we got from everybody who beta read the book. Problem is, we'd been pitching it and trying to promote it to an audience of moms that already had not only one child, but multiple children. And they're all like, this would have been an awesome book when I was pregnant with my first child, or things like that, So we didn't sell a lot of books then. And now we've had to go back and like kind of remarket it so that it's pitched towards brand new moms, first time moms, all those types of things. But the book itself was good. The idea was good, that we did our research to know what things moms were talking about and what things were getting interest, but we didn't know our target audience well enough at the beginning to set it up right. So okay. And then the other things about your selling, I said, we're not going to go into marketing, just talk about it a little bit, but you do need to start thinking about your marketing plan, as I just demonstrated from the very beginning. And part of that marketing plan and your proposal has to be, who am I trying to sell this book to? And the answer should never, ever, ever be everyone. And I had a call with a client the other day who was saying everyone can, oh, you know what, Jennifer, I'm going to go back because I forgot to go through that with you. Everyone should buy my book, and because it could help everyone. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. This book probably could help everyone. It was about reducing the overwhelm in your life. But I'm like, but if you really want to market your book and sell it to somebody, you cannot possibly create a marketing campaign that tries to market to everybody. You need to figure out who that one person is. In her case, it's the military wives who have been left behind while their spouse is deployed, and it's ways to help them reduce the things off their plate that they don't need to be worried about, to prioritize, to dig into it, so that they're not being stressed out about all the extra things that they just shouldn't have to worry about when they're solo parenting for a year at a time. So, I'm like, if you focus in on there, then they're going to start talking about it. They're going to share it with their friends, and then it may expand out to other people that aren't that target audience. But you have to start someplace. You have to hit a group and have them really digging in on it. So I'm going to go into the proposal in just a second, but I want to go back and just quickly do this exercise with Jennifer's book as well, because hers is very different. So hers is YA fiction girl teens. Okay, so I'm assuming that if you're doing YA girl teens who are 18-year-old surfer who discovers she's part of a group of superhero women who fight crimes against women and girls. That's pretty awesome sounding. You're in a good time frame, because right now, with the whole Me Too movement and everything happening, people are looking for strong females that are out there doing some good stuff. So that's good. There's an open market to it. That's great. So then, do people want to need this book? Yes. is there anything similar out there? Is there a comparable title? Have you seen any other books like this out there already? And if there aren't books out there like that, are there other series of books that are similar in nature? It may not be a surfer girl, but maybe there's something else about. I just saw a preview for a TV show actually that was this very similar thing. It's she's out there like attacking and taking down men who abuse their wives. So there obviously, if there's TV shows out there on prime time, there's a market. So now you have to start looking into that and seeing who there are. So, how's your book different? What gap does it fill? And that question isn't quite as necessary on the fiction side. And then, do you understand the norms of your genre? Are you reading other books like this? Are you, completely in all of the 18-year-old YA type books and really no one understand what's happening with them right now? Okay. All right. So to move forward here to talking about your proposal. Now you might be saying to myself, hold on, this is self-publishing boot camp. Why are we talking about book proposals? Who am I proposing my book to? The reason I encourage self-published authors to go ahead and do their own proposal, just because it's not, in this case, it's not really a proposal. It is our marketing sheet. It is our plan. It is our track to make sure that we are sorry for the back and forth there. It's our plan to make sure that we are filling all the gaps so that we can go out and market our book and sell our book and create a lot of buzz for our book before we even sell it. Okay, so I said I would do this, and I'm going to right now. We're going to talk about finding comparable titles. So there's a couple of ways that you can do this. First of all, what are you reading? If you're writing on something that you love, what's on your bookshelf? Like I just listed off a handful of books. I've read way more books than what I listed off in this whole World War II fiction genre, but I can't think of all the titles off of my head, and I don't have all of them because I have given them to my sisters and friends to read, because that's what people do when they love a good book, right? Which it's fine if you share it, because the more people that read it, the more people that talk about it, the more people that suggest it next time somebody says, hey, I'm going to the beach for a week, what should I read? Okay, so what's on your bookshelf to start? Then you can go to a bookstore, which I haven't done in a while, but I'd really love to go spend some time in a bookstore. I miss that. You can go to a library. The libraries are going to have what's hot and what's out there, because librarians are also searching for the books that people want to read. Like they don't just stock every book that's out there in the library. They want to make sure that it's books, even though they're a nonprofit, they don't charge money, they don't do those things. Like they're going to not get funding if people aren't coming in and using their facilities and checking out the books and things like that. So they need to make sure that they have books that people are actually wanting to read. So you can visit Amazon or any Barnes and Nobles online, any of those types of things. And then you can use some fun tools. So I'm going to start with Amazon and show you how I do my comp titles out there. So let's go to Amazon. Okay. So I'm going to go to books first. And I'm going to say superhero. Let's see what comes up when we say superhero surfer. Superhero squad silver surfer. Those are toys. Okay, not what we had in mind. So that's one thing. So now we're going to go back to books, and we're going to look for something a little bit more generic than that. We're going to look for superhero female books, or books about superheroes or something like this. So you're going to go through it. And actually, I mean, these are the obviously obvious, right? Girl power, the known superheroes. But then you find some other types of books that may not necessarily even be about girls, or you can go through here and see what people are looking at when it comes to superheroes. Now, The Wrath, Superhero by Night. This is what we're looking for right here. This is exactly what we're looking for. So let's see, it's got 45 reviews. That's excellent. And bingo, here's your customer also viewed list. It shows you all kinds of stuff. This may not be exactly what you were looking for, but it's close enough. It's a female lead character. She wants to see justice done. She's going to help take care of, get rid of all of these other people. And you can see all kinds of other books that are out there in a similar manner. You can see where it's ranking in the categories, and then you can go into those categories and look at other books. You can spend days going down this bunny trail of clicking on other similar books and seeing what they're about, what books are similar to them. You have to be careful though, because if you could go and completely get outside of, see, now it looks like we've gone into all kinds of boys books. But then we have this one. This would look similar. So what I would do, and what your homework actually is going to be, is to go out there and find 5 comp books and grab the link, grab the title, grab the categories. But I'll show you all of that in a second. So, okay, now let's go into, now we've moved into the Kindle store. So you have to be careful here because if you're down just a Kindle, it may only pull just what's in Kindle. You're not going to get all the other books. So now we're going to go to, so that's what you did, and you read and read the reviews and see what other people are having. But so Pam, you're doing a supernatural spiritual experiences. Okay. So I need to ask you on a clarification here, because is it a memoir or is it did these things happen to you? Is it all based on true stuff, or is it or is there a fiction element to it? Memoir, spiritual life journey. Let's just see what happens when we put that in there, just like that. Not just like that. All true. Okay. Well, sometimes reality is stranger than fiction, right? So, you've got My Journey Through Time, a spiritual memoir. There's other things out there. So I do the same thing. You've probably seen some of these as you've been looking and clicking on them and seeing what's out there and what's happening. What else are people publishing on it? And you go from there and see. So this one's about reincarnation, and you just kind of see what's out there and go for it. So that's that exercise. So as I said, I want you to find comparable titles from bookstore or something like that, from the bookstore, actual physical, or a library. You can go to the library. Now I'm going to show you. I need a drink real quick. I'm going to show you a tool that I like to use, which you've probably heard about, and that's Publisher Rocket. It used to be called KDP Rocket, and it's a really, really cool tool. It is not a free tool. It's not a very expensive tool, though, and it does some awesome stuff. And this is why. So we're going to type the same thing in here. We're going to see what it pulls up for us. You can do keywords, you can do categories, you can do, sometimes I don't know if their competition analyzer is glitching, because it may just take a long time to pull it up. Maybe it didn't find anything in here. So we can go look at that same thing here. Oh, come on, don't make a liar out of me here. We'll do keywords first and see what happens. Yeah, this one's really cool. And sometimes it brings up a long list. Like if you can bring down your keyword search to something a little more specific, it will pull up lists. Like I'll do vampires in a second so you can see it on an easier one. But this is what I like about this, is that it's going to show you how high the competition is, who's the competition, how much they're making on these books. how many people are looking for them on Google and how many people are looking for them on, okay, this is a really bad example of it because it's too big. It's too big and broad. So I'm just going to go back here and I'm going to do one that I know will pull up quite a lot. See, there you go. It works a lot faster when it's not, if it's something that's either a really small category or and they have to look really hard for it, it takes a little bit more time to pull it up. But here you go. Vampire Diaries, boom, it's got this whole list. I mean, and this is awesome because you've got all these keywords that it's going to pull up for you. So now when you're trying to decide how to market your book, what to use in it, you've got all kinds of keywords. And then it's going to you can analyze the keywords, and you can export all of this stuff into an Excel spreadsheet, so that you can copy and paste. So it's moving a little bit slowly today. I don't think that is the tool. I think it is my computer, because my computer is like full and everything is moving very, very slowly on the computer. So let's see if we can get it to pull something up here. I'm going to take a drink while I'm waiting it to analyze. And yes, it does make researching super duper easy. Okay, I'm going to give that a minute to work there. Okay, so the first assignment, like I said, is to find 5 comp titles. If you haven't already done this, list the title, the author, sales page, link, description, categories, and the Amazon rank. Is good to know as well. Okay, so I mentioned putting together a book proposal and why I think this is important, even if you're self-publishing. So when you put together a book proposal, it's going to, again, depending on whether you're writing a nonfiction, fiction, or children's book or picture book, it's basically the same bones, but it's going to have a few different elements. So in a nonfiction book proposal, and I'll show you an example of one here, it's going to have some things that a fiction proposal, oh goodness, see, I'm getting the wheel of death. I may have to slow down on my stuff here. It'll give you some of the things that are going to be in some of the same things, but you're going to want to have, this is a book that I worked on with an author who was going through, she was traditionally publishing and going through an agency. But you're going to have the premise, you're going to have the benefits. And this, okay, so let me pause here. The reason that I think it's so important for you to go through this exercise if you are self-publishing is because these are the types of things that you need to be able to tell your target audience. You need to be able to have for your sales page. You need to be able to tell librarians and bookstore owners. You need to be able to tell booksellers. You need to know all of this stuff if you're going to sell your book. Your readers need to know and understand what it is. So you have to understand, like, simply what is about this book and what are you going to get from it? This, like I said, is nonfiction. So you're not going to do a benefits thing on a fiction book, because what are you going to get from it? Great entertainment? I don't know. Great adventure? No, you don't have that part in there. So, but she's very clearly, and with nonfiction books, a lot of times they will pitch and they will do their proposal before they've even written their book or before they've written all of their book. So, they have to have all of this stuff in there. So what is it going to do? What are you going to walk away from it? What are you going to learn from it? The book, and then more features of the book, what comes out of it. Then she went through and did an overview. This is stuff you don't have to put in yours. It doesn't matter because that's just for the thing. But who is the market? Why do you need to dig into the market? Why are they wanting your book? And this will help you find them to market to it. So she knows the groups. She's looking for people that are social entrepreneurs, people that are in recovery and addiction, parents, nonprofit organizations. So she's gone through and she's spent time thinking about the groups. And then their comps, they call differentiation here. So she's looked at other books that are similar and kind of given a little description of it. And then she doesn't say what it doesn't have in there, but she's just showing what the other books that are similar will do. And then you should actually do this author section, because you need to write a really solid bio for you to be using on your website, on your book, in your book, all those other places. So, and then she has a full section on people who might endorse it, which is something really good to start thinking about soon. So doing research on who's out there. And then, some marketing stuff. Where are you going to market it? How are you going to market? What's your platform? This is obviously excellent for you to know and have how you're going to market it. And then she goes through and does a chapter outline, which if you're writing a nonfiction book, whether you're self-publishing or trying to traditional publish, you want to have that outline. So that is that one. Now with fiction, you're going to have a lot of similar things in your fiction proposal, but instead of a synopsis, instead of a premises, instead of what are people going to come away from the book, you're going to have your hook and your synopsis. So what is the elevator pitch on this book? I'm writing a book about an 18-year-old surfer who's a vigilante at night, surfs during the day, attacks people at night, and, defends women at night or whatever. So that's, your quick hook. And then you're going to have author information, which is what are your current social media accounts, your links, your stats, your website links, all those kinds of things. These help you start thinking about how you're going to position your book and how you're going to position yourself as you grow your platform. Who is your target audience? It's so important to know this before you write, as you're writing, and as you're marketing your book. And we talked about the then the marketing and PR opportunities. You need to start thinking about those very early in the process. And then sample chapters if you were sending it out to to an agent. I don't think we have any children's books authors in this one, but basically your children's book proposal would be very similar, except for you've got like a 3-sentence description of the book. You're going to have the age range, which is massively important. They need to know whether you're trying to sell to pre-K, to 3 to 5 year olds, to 5 to 7 year olds, to second graders, whatever. That's really important. And then again, with the marketing strategy. So why I include this in the bones and the foundation is because one of the things that so many self-published authors really screw the pooch on is not taking the time to do this stuff early enough in their writing process, early enough in the journey to publish their book. And then when it comes time to sell the book, it's really, really difficult. And this is why it takes 2 to 3 years in the traditional publishing world. Not because it takes editors longer, not because it takes longer for a traditional publisher to make a book cover, not because of any of those things. It's because they spend so much time in the buildup of the book, of the audience, of the building buzz, of the author, all of these things. With if you ever go to a book expo, like I went to the book expo in New York, and every author there being published by a traditional publisher, and some self-publishers were there giving away galley copies, which is a not final print proof of their book, months before their book was publishing, because it's important to have that buzz and all of that stuff out there. But we're not going to get too far into there. So I'm going to upload the sample nonfiction and fiction proposals. You don't have to do all of it. I don't expect you to, do everything, but I would encourage you to at least know what your hook is, what your synopsis is for the fiction book, what's the premise, and what's it solve for nonfiction, and knowing who it is for, and why they want it, basically, is really important. Okay, so that's just to cover a little bit of the importance of the author platform, and why it's important to grow it there. Okay, so now it's up to you. Since we only have 2 people live, we can do 2 things. I can either break you out separately, or we can all stay in here together and I can just answer questions from both of you. I know Pam cannot speak through the microphone. She's going to have to type her questions. But just quickly to let you know what we're going to be, Jennifer wants to come together. How do you feel about that, Pam? If you want to do 15 minutes separately after that as well, we can hop on a call and do 15 minutes as well. That's part of what was promised, was some one-on-one time. So if that's what you want, I will hold to that. So just let me know when we're done with the general question things. So in a recap, tomorrow we'll be covering the key elements in industry standards. That's not recap, that's tomorrow. So we'll be talking about the things like the the bones of the book, what needs to be in the front matter and in the back matter. The ISBN is how you get your ISBN, those different, what an imprint is, why you need an imprint, all of these types of things. So that's what we're getting into tomorrow. Then on next Monday, we'll talk about the launch and publishing timeline. And then the following Tuesday is your publishing team. I'm sorry, the publishing team is with I can't remember which one we put them together with. And then distribution. So where you need to be publishing your book, how you get it there, and what needs to be done in order to do that successfully. So that's not for today. Okay. All right, I'm going to stop sharing the screen there, and we're moving into phase 2, which is just Q&A. If you guys could, excuse me, if you ladies could give me just, whoa, real quick second. I'm going to go check in on my kids. Feel free to turn on your cameras and your mics if you're able to. And let's take like a 5-minute break before we go into this next section, if that's cool with everybody. That part. Thank you. Sometimes just talking for an hour is it's a lot. Just need a little moment there. Okay. So no, I don't see or hear you, but it's good if you just want to keep chatting in the chat box with us if you have specific questions. So the point of the second hour really is to be able to dig into what I just covered in the training part, because that's really the biggest benefit of doing it this way, is that you learn something, and then before you've completely forgotten about what we're talking about, you have the opportunity to ask questions about it, or we can go through some other examples or do whatever. And ideally, we can do one-on-one so that you can get into or we can do this together as a group, as I mentioned. So okay. And if that was totally clear and nobody has any questions about what I'm asking you to do, then we can ask and answer questions about anything. So, okay, let's see here. I'll put it on the gallery view. Okay, so let's go. Who's got questions? Anyone? Neither of you have any questions?
Okay. What I guess the thing that's floating, thank you so much for the great outline and like to understand clearly what we're going to be doing in boot camp. And I think from the content that you went over for specifically about today, the biggest question I have is if we're self-publishing, I realize it's important to do the proposal, but is that something that only we are going to see, or is that something that we would share with someone at a bookstore?
Okay.
Or
so
I don't know I don't know.
That's a really good question. So okay, when I say to put together the proposal, I guess what I mean by that is not necessarily creating like an official proposal. This is for the to, this is from the from. I mean, take the elements that are within a proposal and to make sure that you are fleshing them out, because it's when you are doing anything for your publishing, whether you're writing blog posts on your website, whether you're writing the cover for your book, whether you're writing the sales page for your for your book, if you don't know and understand these core concepts, who the target audience is, what the elevator pitch is or the short synopsis, what the longer synopsis is, and how it is different than other books, you're not going to be able to effectively market your book. So it's not necessarily, I'm not asking you to actually put together a full proposal like it would look like if you were to send it out with a query. I'm asking you to dig into the elements of what would go into a proposal and to make sure you understand that, and to start thinking about your marketing plan, and to start thinking about your target audience, and to start thinking about your author platform and what you kind of need to have in place to do it. But the second part of that is that if you're going to pitch libraries and bookstores, you absolutely do have to have that kind of stuff. And let me pull up something while I am thinking about it. I can share with you um, an example of a sales page sheet that we just sent out for our book that's launching tomorrow. Um, Hold on, let me pull this up. So I don't know if either of you were able to attend the webinar that we did last week with Amy Collins of New Shelves, but these are the types of things that libraries and bookstores do want to know. She said before you send it out to a librarian, before you start pitching your book to a librarian, you need to know the 5 things. And the 5 things were basically exactly what you find in a book proposal. You know, who's it for? What's the one liner, what's the tagline, the hook, the quick short synopsis. If they want more information, do you have a longer synopsis and more information? You know, what are your librarians and bookstores, believe it or not, want to know what your marketing plan is, because if they're going to invest money in the book, they want to make sure that you are investing and in doing the work, if you will, on it as well. So I cannot find the marketing thing. Hold on one second here. It's hard to talk and to search for something at the same time. Just for the record, you should try it sometime. um
I want to jump in and say that got a chat from Pam, and she was trying to ask you a question. So I just want to make sure that she was able to chat and get her
oh,
question asked, because I had sent her a little private chat, and I think we're just learning how chat works.
oh, gotcha. So yeah, I see you're chatting to everybody now. So did you have a question? If you have a question, pop it in this one, because I didn't see the one that you just sent to Jennifer. um Okay. So does that answer your question on what I'm kind of looking for? So let's not call it a book proposal. Let's call it let's call it your roadmap to your book, if that makes it easier, because I don't want anybody getting all caught up on the idea of, why is she making me write a book proposal and I'm not even sending it to anybody? But you are. If you really look at the meat of the bones of a book proposal, you have to, any published author who is marketing a book has to know these things. And the one thing I can tell you that I matter of factly have learned in the past 3 years, especially, but starting back from the beginnings of my publishing experience, is that people who don't understand their target audience, don't understand their I keep calling it a tagline, but I mean their hook or their elevator pitch or whatever. People that don't understand what their plan is to market their book and get it out there, they don't sell books, period. So now when I work with authors from the very, very, very beginning, we start with, let's figure these things out while you're writing, while it's going through the process and everything. But don't make the mistake of saying, I'll figure that stuff out later. My book's awesome. Everybody's going to want to buy it. I don't need to worry about all of this stuff until it's ready to go. And then I'm going to put it out there, because you will cry when you get to that point. All right, let's see. One of my questions. So glad not a whole proposal. No, not the whole proposal. So maybe I should change the verbiage in there, but like a proposal, the content that goes into a proposal, but you don't have to do the official proposal. I mean, I don't need you to find an agent to send it to and put in their information and write all that stuff in there. But do include your synopsis, your target audience, and your comparable titles, because that is important, really, when you're doing that search out there, going out and finding those comp titles and seeing where they're ranking, how they're selling, what people are saying about the book, what people hate about the book is super important. Negative reviews are like some of the most telling things about books, to be quite honest with you. Okay, is a proposal the same thing as a query? they can be interchanged. The proposal is usually in, when you talk about a solid proposal like that, a proposal is generally more along the lines with nonfiction. You do a full like proposal to send to it, and a query letter generally includes a lot of the same types of content as a proposal. You can attach an official proposal, but fiction writers very rarely submit a full proposal. They submit a query letter that has the elements of the proposal in it, if you see what I mean. So let's forget the word proposal and just think about what it is that you put in it. Your agent, your book buyer, your whomever would want to know about your book wants to know, what is the book about? Why do I want to buy it? And how are you going to sell it? If that makes sense. So don't get caught up on the word proposal. But yeah, when you query agents, a query letter can have, it can have everything in the cover letter, or it can have a quick quick synopsis, your quick one liner, your quick, whatever, and then say, I've attached a bunch of additional information for you, which might have a longer synopsis or something along those lines. Or, for example, when you're sending out the nonfiction proposal, it would be the full letter that included everything in it, and that proposal is the query. Does that answer it, Jennifer? Okay, cool. Pam. So you've already queried. Pam, is this your first book, or did you query it for a while and now you've decided to self-publish, or are you doing a second book, or what's you said a whole proposal again? And if you've already written it, if it's the same book, you've already done the work. Your homework is done. Check. All right, let me pull back up my slides and see if there's anything else that I want to cover on this topic. Okay, I'm going to show you this quickly. Share the screen. Okay, can you see what I'm sharing here? You should be seeing what do I do, a step-by-step guide for friends and family. Yep, okay. So this is what you do with the information. You put it into, this is called a one-page sales sheet, and it's got any key endorsements on it. It's got the synopsis of the book cover. It's going to have a little bit about the author. It's going to have all the key information about the book, where it's sold, how it's sold, publisher information, all of that kind of stuff. So this is the type of stuff that you would send out. This type of sheet, more so when you're pitching yourself for like publicity and things like that. There are a few things that other people who that librarians are super interested in knowing, a few other details. So there's a different sheet that we would do with a few more details for libraries, a few more details for bookstores, etc. But you can't put together a sheet like this if you don't understand who it's for, what you're doing, and all that kind of stuff. So that's much nicer than a big proposal. But okay. Grateful for the comp titles from the search words. I went to memoirs in the spirituality and Christian genres and didn't find too many like mine exactly. I share my spiritual connection from birth to now. I've written 2 books now through editing yet. I'm a slow typer. That's okay. Okay. So, so this is your second book then. You mentioned the tool wasn't cheap. For the KDP, no, it is cheap actually. Hold on one second. I'll put a link in there for you. I think it's only like, well, when I purchased it, I think it was like $79. Now I got it like 4 years ago, so it's probably a little bit more than that, but it's a lifetime license. And I think it's under $100. So let me grab the thing here. And for me, it has paid off over and over and over again, because every time I work with an author now, I go straight to this tool and do what I just did, and we'll go through. Oh, maybe it's pulled it up by now. It's still analyzing. It's going nuts. I think this is a computer issue, not the, let me try and shut it down and start it over again. Okay, hold on here. There's another one also called KDP Spy. I don't use that one as much. I'm not really, I own it. I purchased it because it looked like it would be a good tool to use, but I don't know. I'm not real familiar with all the ins and outs of it, but let's see if this works. This link works. I don't know if the links changed after they updated it. Okay, here we go. Found it. Here you go. Okay, that is an affiliate link. I'm not gonna lie, but you know that's the way we that's the way we roll. If we can get thanked for sending people to a tool. Okay, so let's see. You mentioned the tool wasn't cheap to find the comp titles. Is it a membership? Okay, no, it's called Publisher Rocket, and you can get to it straight from that link. And Dave Chesson is truly one of the best men I have ever met in my entire life. He's kind, and he's just like so helpful. And if you ever have any problems whatsoever with it, his team is on it so quickly. And he's just super, super, super knowledgeable on it. So let's see what else. A one sheet. Yeah, that's just kind of the slang term for the media sheet or the sales sheet. There's all kinds of different type names that people go by it. A sales sheet, a media sheet, all of those things. All right, I've written synopsis, query, and proposals, but not confident of them. That's a professional edit, and now will be done until October, so I have time to do all this for both. Okay, cool, great. All right, so I wanted to show you KDP Spy real quick while we're just sitting around talking about other tools. So this one, like I said, I am not as familiar with, so we'll see what happens when we go in here. They were running a sale, so I bought the license, but okay. Can you see Amazon right now? Okay. So I think when you go into, it's got a little add-on that goes onto your dashboard. And I think what you do, so we're in the bestsellers and Kindle books. Okay, this is pretty cool. So it tells you what the top selling titles are, how much their sales are, monthly revenue, holy smokes, the number of reviews, the sales rank. So we could go into pretty much any of these. Let's see, what's your category? You said, would you say it's under religion and spirituality, Pam? I lost the chat bar. There it is.
She says yes.
Okay,
she said,
thank you. Thanks. Okay. All right, so we're in religion and spirituality right now. We can click on our little KDP Spy, and they're going to tell us all the things in this category, what's happening. C.S. Lewis's Little Book of Wisdom, Window on the Bay, The Wounded Healer, and then it shows you like all the details on it, the reviews, the sales rank, the pages. I don't know what this is. We're going to click on it and see what C is. T, S, and C, it said. Okay, I have no idea what that was all about. So these kind of tools are kind of interesting when you're trying to figure out how to, and you can click straight over to their Amazon page when you're trying to find things that are in your categories that are doing really well. And then, of course, seeing what else is popular, what other people are buying, if the book is actually selling. And, at the very beginning, I said, is your book saleable? So, that's a really important part of knowing if your book is sales worthy, and if other books out there are actually selling in the genre and selling well and making a lot of money. Her sales rank is 411. That's her price. That's how many monthly sales. She's 5,000 reviews. Wow. So it's kind of cool. It shows you all this cool little information. To me, I like this one's neat just to see when you're looking at how much money people are making. But I like the Publisher Rocket better in terms of you can actually get keywords and see. All right, we're going to try this again. Can you see the KDP Rocket now, or Publisher Rocket? Or is it still showing my Amazon page?
It's showing the Publisher Rocket.
Okay. So we'll go back here. Okay. Maybe I just picked a category that was way too big. My computer's too slow, or they're having a glitch, because usually this comes up a lot faster. All right, hold on. I'm sorry, this is a morbid topic, but it's one that I'm publishing right now, and I know that it was working on this. All right. I don't know what's happening here. What's another keyword we could throw in there? Memoir. Okay. So it comes up with different, it'll show you, this is cool because it shows you all the different keywords that are working for you. Memoir, French and Indian War, everything you could think of. And you can go through there and really see all the different suggested keywords on a particular topic. So that's cool. Now we'll see. We can go into literature and fiction and see what's happening in here, the different categories and genres, sales ranks, how many books. So in this one, it's showing you, like, in this genre, how many sales to number one, how many are in top 25, all of those types of things. So all kinds of different cool stuff that you can do here. So
Pam asked, what does the sales rank mean really? So I'm going to echo that. Like, what does that mean?
Okay, sales rank means if you have your category of, and I'll flip over here. If you've got your categories over here, and see, she is number one in religious books, narration, religious historical fiction, all these types of things. So what that means is that in this category, bestsellers, religious romance, these are the books that are selling, that have the most activity. The activity can be based on sales, on reviews, on clicks, on searches. There's lots of different things. That's interesting. This is an old book, Redeeming Love. My mom gave me that book years ago, and it's still number 7 in this particular category. So it shows you what's happening, basically. So the farther you get down, the reason it's important to you as an author is the farther you get down in these categories, nobody finds your books. So a lot of people, when they go online looking for books and they know that they're looking for historical, they just come on in and they either Google historical fiction or they come straight into the historical thing. So if you are ranking high in a category and somebody comes in here, there's a good chance that somebody's going to buy somebody from this front page, right? Or at least click on it. Oh, that looks interesting. And they go in there. And if you're not in that top 25, there's a good chance your book's never even going to get looked at, because there's so many other options already out there, right? It depends on the category. Some categories are massive categories and the top 100 books are selling really, really well. Whereas other categories are super small categories and maybe only the top 5 are actually selling, but there's, all those other ones in there. So Does that answer your question, Pam? So the category, it's truly, it is a ranking of how many people are doing, how much activity is happening around a book. High sales rank is, do you mean high or low as in like 11K or 20K, which is better? You want your sales rank to be low. You want to be number 1 through 100. You want to, if that's, if your sales rank is 20,000, that means there's 19,999 books in front of you, if it's based on a 1 through, on the number like that. So you want to be number 1 through 100 in your category, preferably in the top 25, so that people are seeing you. But now you can see it's coming up now. It did this for me. So I looked up categories. These are books about infant loss, and it shows you how long it's been on Amazon. It shows you the Amazon bestseller rank. I couldn't remember what ABS are. So anything under like 500,000 means people are regularly buying it. It shows you if it has a keyword in the title, if it has a keyword in the subtitle, what the daily sales are. And this is, of course, updated regularly. So it may not have had a sale today, but in the past month it's had $199. And then you can go to Amazon and check it out. So it's pretty cool when you're doing your comp titles and when you're doing different research on books like this. Hey, there's my book right there. That's fun. My ads are working. I did not do that on purpose, but woohoo, I'm going to click on it because clicks are good. They help people see that the people are looking at your book. So, okay. Um, and that's fun. I published this book. I worked with this author. I mean, she's the person who wrote. I own this book. So it's neat. Okay. Sorry, a little trip down Amazon memory lane there. Okay. Which one was mine? Sunshine After the Storm. I'm sorry, I didn't realize you couldn't see the the arrow there. Sunshine After the Storm: A Survival Guide for the Grieving Mother was my book. Okay. So, I mean, we don't have to sit here for an hour if y'all don't have questions on this particular topic. You've got work to do. So if you would rather just go off and start working on the things to do, then that is fine. If but what I would encourage you to do today, since even this can be a little bit overwhelming, I would start with your comp titles, go out and look at the books that are similar to yours, but don't just pull the information. What roadmap? Oh yeah, I'm gonna send you guys the sample, the template and the sample proposal. So when you're don't going out and looking at the comps, what I want you to be doing when you're looking at these comp titles is I want you to be examining the other books out there in yours that are doing well and look at them. Okay, so this exercise is not just about knowing what else is out there in your category and it's doing well. It's knowing what about them is doing well. Look at the way the cover looks. Look at the way their descriptions are written. Look at, that's why I want you to grab the link so that if you don't have time to do all of that today, you can at least go find the 5 titles, get the link so that you can come back and you can say, this is what a good title, a good, look to see if they have keywords in their title. Look to see what categories they're ranking in. Look to see how many reviews they have. All of those types of things are really important. Follow the author. Follow the author. That's huge too, because then you can make sure that when they release a new book, you're getting notified by Amazon. You can see what they're doing. And those types of things. So that's the goal today. So we're creating the foundation of the foundation so that when we are ready to get our book out there, we know how to be successful with making sure that the right people are able to find it and that we're putting it in front of the right target audience and all of those things. Okay, so what I owe you all is the PDF of the slides and the template for the roadmap. I will call it the roadmap. Template roadmap, so that no one gets freaked out about putting together a proposal. It's funny. It does generate a whole different like thought process on what you're doing and why you're doing it. So, okay. And then tomorrow we will follow a similar structure, but tomorrow we're going to get really deep into the elements of a book. So tomorrow's super nerdy, like what, how a book should be put together, what elements you need in the front matter, in the back matter, what you need to have in your copyright page, all of those types of things, so that when you go to publish your book, what types of things should be on your cover, and all of those things, so that you look as professional as possible when you're putting your book out there. Good? All right, Pam, did you want to hop on for a couple minutes, or are you good with where we went today? Maybe she already left.
It says she's here. So is our home? Can I ask a question about our homework?
Uh-huh.
So is our question to answer the questions? Do people want and or need my book? What are the comparable titles? How is my book different? And do I understand? What do I understand about my genre?
No, your actual homework tonight is, let me pull it back up again so I'm not telling you. You have 2 different assignments. Let's see. Homework number 1 was find 5 comps, list the title, the author, the sales page link, the description, and the categories, and maybe the Amazon rank if you feel like jotting that down so that you know how well it's ranking. So that's the first one. And then the second part of the homework is to start your roadmap. So I don't expect you those things that you just listed out will take you some time. So you'll want to put some time and thought into it. But basically, to start that basic roadmap by and I'm giving you the easy assignment tonight. Write your title, your hook or your tagline, or the premise of the book if it's nonfiction, and then start sketching out some information on who the target audience is. And that's all I've asked you to do for tonight. Now, long term, you're going to want to fill in, and the template will have everything. So if you want to work on everything, you go for it. But to put together a true, like a full roadmap should take you hours, unless you have already started working on this and you have it available to you. So tonight we're just doing the simple, get it started, start thinking about it, and we'll move on from there. Make sense? Okay. Well, I don't know if Pam is still here or not, but we will resume tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. I will load this recording as well, and everything will come out to you within the next hour or so. Okay. All right. Thanks, y'all. Hopefully the rest of the crew will be able to show up tomorrow. We had